Hi everyone, so today we are going to do a review of Weapons. So it's been a while since we've done a movie review, but I figured I want to get back in the habit, so here we are. So we watched Weapons, which premiered last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, something like
Something like
that.
that. Yeah. It's very new.
It's very new, yeah, yeah. But we are going to keep this spoiler free.
Okay.
And so, our thoughts. Orlando's probably gonna do most of the talking because he's the horror lover, horror expert in this relationship. I just went for the support, the moral support. But you know what? I actually really, really liked it. I wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it was. It's still scary.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. It is still very much a horror movie. But I love that they found a way to release the tension by making you laugh. And that was really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of horror. I was actually very scared.
So was I.
I actually found myself really freaked out. There's jump scares, and I feel like just horror movies, just in general, have jump scares. But I feel like the scarier moments were the non-jump scare ones, the ones where it's just like lingering there, and the sound, the music was just so unsettling. Um, and the choreography, whoever choreographed, what would you call it? The not even
Cinematography.
no the movements, the
Oh.
movements of the people. No spoilers, but the movement of the people is really, it's choreographed in such a creepy way. Ew, really well. Bless you, buddy. Um, but I actually found myself quite frightened, very tense. But as you were saying, it's like the really fun thing is that this movie knew when it was getting too scary and would hit you with really funny moments. Um, some of them felt ridiculous, but it was like, but it made sense. It was also not so over the top funny that it took you out of it. It still blended in with the story. And some of the funny moments were funny and creepy at the same time.
And yeah, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. I'm a big baby. I don't like getting scared. So I did do a little bit of research before we saw this film just to see if I thought I could handle it. And one of the reviews I read was like, it's not that scary. It's mainly jump scares. It's actually quite scary. And like you said, if you don't believe me, he also just said it. And our roommate was very, very scared as well. She was like clinging to me for a lot of it, but it was a good time. I also have to say that I really liked the way the story was told. So you get the same story, but from different points of view, and you piece the story together based on these different points of view. And then if you look very, very closely, the different, like, even though you're watching the same scenes sometimes almost exactly, there are some differences. And the director wanted to do that because whenever everyone experiences something differently. So I can tell you a story, and Orlando can tell you the same story of something we experienced, and we're both going to tell it slightly different because we perceived those moments differently. So that's something really cool for anyone that is watching it a second time or just watching it a first time, just seeing like the differences, and they're tiny differences, but there's still differences amongst the different points of view. And like I said, that was the director's goal, because his inspiration was like the way people perceive things and how things are perceived differently. Yeah.
That's really cool because one of the I didn't know that part. I'm learning that right now as you mentioned it. One of the cool things I found is just how like the choreography, the blocking, the lines were all exactly the same, even though they were shot differently. Because now, obviously, the camera is at a different point. It's completely shot from a different angle. Obviously, this was probably a reshoot. And yet, the lines were spot on, the choreography was spot on, the movement was spot on. So, whoever was in charge of what's them called, the continuity, really had their job cut out for them in this movie.
I mean, really, really got to shout out all the actors. The acting was really, really great in this film. There wasn't, even though there was like over the top moments, it never felt like anyone was overacting. Like, it felt very natural just watching them all interact with each other. And yeah, that was just really, really, it's always really good to see good acting on screen.
And I think we were talking about the comedy earlier. I think the comedy comes from the natural nature of the choices. A lot of the actors made choices that was like, yeah, that's probably what I would have done, or that's probably what would have gone through my head. One of my favorite moments was Josh Brolin's character waking up and just going, "What the fuck?" And that's exactly what we were thinking. That's exactly what you would do if you had the situation he just went through. And it makes you laugh because everything was just so natural. I will shout out a acting, but I will not because it's a massive spoiler. But if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, when you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. That acting was just really good. Phenomenal. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to describe too much because it's kind of a spoiler.
But I think like you didn't describe enough because I'm just like,
you don't know who I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
They could be like literally anyone.
They were scary, very frightening, but also managed to be hilarious in a creepy, psychotic way.
Okay.
I just don't want to spoil it.
I don't want you to spoil it either.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I had a really good time. I will say I also don't really have a stomach for horror, and this was a little bit more, or a lot more, gory. I wasn't expecting gore. And so, yeah, there are gory moments. So if gore is really not your thing, you can't handle it, just be aware that there are gory moments. And yeah, some of them were a bit too much for me, but I didn't lose my lunch or anything.
Yeah, I remember about halfway through, I was like, why is it rated R? This movie's seeming very tame. And then I was like, oh, Jesus. Like, I love Mortal Kombat. That's the type of stuff I watch. And even I was like, oh, that's nasty. That's a lot.
Overall, this was a really great film with a great, interesting premise, fantastic acting, and I personally rated it 4 stars out of 5.
I still need to rate it on mine, but it's got 4.5 for me. And if you're a big fan of horror, if you feel confident that you're gonna stomach it, go into it without knowing anything. Go into it without reading anything about it. I feel like the less you know, the better the experience. But yeah.
Bye.